This is Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything that you want by dialing toll-free to 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And join us on Skype as well. Our Skype username is lrn.fm. Send a contact request if you have not yet done so, and it will be approved. It'll be easy for you to call us on Skype. After that, the us includes tonight me, Ian.
Derek J.
And hang
Mark.
on, Derek J. Try that one more time.
It's Derek J.
We have you now. Excellent. Derek J. from peacenewsnow.com, and lots of stuff to talk about here tonight. In the last week, we discussed the market basket drama to quite a great extent here on Free Talk Live. And I've just found it absolutely fascinating. There's so many different interesting aspects of this. Market Basket is, for those of you who do not know, a grocery chain, kind of like not quite a discount grocer like a Big Lots or something like that, where they just get a bunch of stuff no one wants anymore.
They're a regular grocery store that somehow manages to offer lower prices.
Yeah, they just managed to have such an efficient business model that not only do they offer lower prices, but they also treat their employees really well.
And they have a lot of store brands.
Right, which is an unusual combo, right? Because normally when it comes to shopping somewhere, you pay more for a product, a high-end coffee, and then, the employees get paid decently. But, usually it doesn't mix that you go into a place like Walmart, for instance, constantly being raked over the coals for not paying their employees enough, even though they're frequently paying more than the minimum wage, for not paying their employees enough. Well, the usual thought is, well, the prices are so cheap, so they can't pay their employees. Well, apparently you can have cheap prices and pay your employees to the point where they're so dedicated that they're willing to walk off the job, although in this case many of them are actually getting paid to protest. They're willing to actually go out and put their jobs on the line. That much is happening because the people who are protesting the changes behind the scenes at Market Basket are definitely risking their jobs. But they're willing to do all of this, considering it's a fairly low-wage job, all things considered, but they are really taken care of, or they were at least, by the previous CEO, Arthur T. DeMoulis. Well, the problem was there's been a family bubble up. Over decades, this family has been...
Decades-long family feud.
They've been fighting one another, and one side of the family took control of the board of the business, and then they ejected this Arthur T. DeMoulis guy from the board, and that's what created this protest of the workers of Market Basket they're standing outside of the business holding signs. They're being paid to do this because the managers are on board with these employees. Most of the employees want this guy back as CEO. They feel like he was really the direction setter for the company and that he treated them really well. One example of this was there was like an employee ownership fund of some sort where the employees could get, some kind of shares.
Stock.
I know they do that with Publix grocers down in the Southeast. And so anyway, this employee fund had lost $40 million worth of value. It was a bad year or something like that, the economic downturn, etc. Anyway, this Arthur T. DeMoulis, because there's a different Arthur who's involved. There's the bad Arthur, who's Arthur S. DeMoulis. Anyway, Arthur T.
I don't know
DeMoulis,
that he's bad. That's another side of the issue.
Well, that's what the employees would say.
You pick your team.
Arthur T. DeMoulis apparently took $40 million of his own dollars, and he shored up the employees' fund.
Wow.
So they would continue to receive the bonuses that they had kind of grown to expect.
That is an incredible story. I was skeptical at first when I heard this because it would be a real cult of personality that employees all across the country would defend the CEO. I mean, when have you ever heard of that happening?
You don't hear that.
And that's what makes this story so unique. The other thing is that they're not union employees either, right?
Wow.
These guys have never been union, apparently, at Market Basket. Not only are they not union, but they're virulently anti-union. And I've got an article about this here. So again, just to kind of bring you up to speed, these protests have now, I think they're entering into their second full week, or they're just about finishing 2 full weeks of protesting. The new CEOs running the company are demanding everybody go back to work. Rumor has it there's some layoffs going on. We can talk more about kind of the latest on the Market Basket development.
Mm-hmm.
But I just wanted to focus on the union aspect of this. So these people are protesting. They want this CEO back on, but it's a bizarre kind of protest because it's not really a walk-off. You can go and talk to these Market Basket employees. And I've had a couple of friends here in Keene go down to the store here and talk to these folks that are outside the store holding signs. They're on the clock, which is another bizarre this does not typically happen at a protest. Normally, you have to walk off your job to go protest the job like this. But in this case, they're on the job, on the clock, and they're out protesting.
That's it. Well, then that's our key because, okay, you are at a normal protest. A couple of your other employees, coworkers say, hey, this new CEO, he's really bad. He's got it out for us. We got to go protest. Well, you've got a calculation to make. Is this worth losing my job, losing my income? What if I have some health risk? What if I can't put food on the table for my children? There's a lot of calculations that go into this that are erased when you're getting paid to do the protesting. And then even if you don't support the old CEO, consider that you're getting paid to stand out with a sign versus getting paid to work and stock shelves.
I'd rather stock shelves. Standing out and go, duh, sign. Oh, God, that would be awful.
Well, regardless,
there's public pressure from your coworkers, so there's that to consider,
Sure.
Mark. So I would think that it's a cost-benefit analysis calculation for these employees, and they don't really have as much at stake as it seems.
It's true, not immediately, but there still is the risk that whoever it is, because some manager has said, okay, guys, go outside, grab the signs, because it's the managers who are approving of this. And in fact, there are apparently there's some signage inside some of the stores encouraging customers to contact the board.
This is fishy to me. I'm wondering where the incentives are. I don't think the employees are really as gung-ho for the CEO as it might appear.
What do you think it really is then?
I think they're getting paid, and the people at management are the ones who are really getting the good bucks from the CEO.
I don't think that's it. I think that the average person at Market Basket really did feel like this guy was a great manager. This was a great CEO.
Well, if not, it certainly looks that way.
Well, it would be the first time I've ever heard of this happening.
It's amazing, right? And so let me get to the story.
Well,
here
I mean,
from
some
Boston
employees
Herald.
love their bosses. It's rare that you have a situation where bosses get fired by boards and stuff that employees love.
But how far up the chain can you go? CEOs are almost always faceless. You've got your manager, and that's it.
That's the difference. This guy's not faceless. I mean, he's
what grocery store gives bonuses? I mean, I've never heard that before. And
profit sharing.
You don't need to see the guy's face if you're getting several hundred or maybe a couple $1,000s a year bonus.
Money talks.
But no,
because these people know what it's like to work at a grocery store. They have friends that work at grocery stores. Working at a grocery store, largely not the greatest job in the world. Working at a Market Basket, better.
I think that Derek's right, though, that typically, and this isn't typical, typically the CEO is a faceless individual. You don't care. If I was working at Kmart as I did in the past, it wouldn't have mattered to me who the new CEO was. The old CEO, I couldn't have told you who it was. But clearly these people know who this guy is. He's made an impact on them with the decisions that he's made. And I've heard, and I'm sorry, I can't remember off the top of my head. There was a couple of other stories about what this guy has done for his employees, where I just thought, man, he's really gone above and beyond the call of a typical CEO. And so I think he's really made his mark, especially the fact that he's also in the family and has been around the company for his whole life. So he really, I think he's tied to it in a way that, let's say, the new former Radio Shack CEO, they've brought in somebody from Radio Shack now to take the CEO position and a co-CEO from Albertsons. But another interesting aspect of this is the fact that these folks aren't union. They're out protesting, they're organizing, they're doing, informational outreach, they're contacting media. Stuff's happening here, but the union isn't. There is no union involved. Now, of course, the union wants to get involved.
Oh,
Unions
yes.
out there are looking at this and they're saying, ooh, wait a minute, we could be getting some dues from these people. So here's a story from Boston Herald. Fired Market Basket employees yesterday rebuffed offers of legal advice from the Teamsters, saying the solidarity of the Tewksbury grocery chain's workers, from top executives to store baggers, is stronger than any union. Now, look, remember, these are the fired employees.
Well, they
who
were
are
fired by
speaking.
the new crew.
Right, but my point is, if you were fired from a company, you might be more likely to say, screw those guys, I say unionize the place or whatever. But in this case, the fired employees are still saying the union's a bad idea. It's not our way of doing things, said former facilities and operations supervisor Steve Polenka, among 8 senior workers canned this past weekend for their allegedly disruptive roles in organizing an employee push. This was actually 2 weekends ago. An employee push for the CEO's rehiring. He says, quote, "We really take care of ourselves. We don't need a union." Come back with more. This is a guy that just got the axe. 855-450-FREE. You can share your thoughts. Free Talk Live. We've been talking about Market Basket. This is essentially a grocery chain. It's very, very regional. It's New Hampshire and Massachusetts. But that's not really what's relevant. What's relevant is what's happening there and what makes it so unique. There's certain aspects to this that I've never seen before. Now, I can't say I am the compendium of work protest history. I can't say I know much at all about that. But of all of the protests I've ever seen or heard of, I've never heard of one where the employees of the company are actually getting paid to protest. That's pretty unusual. I've never heard of one where the employees of the company are protesting for the reinstatement of a CEO because they loved him so much. That's pretty unusual. And there's more to say about this, especially the fact that they are spurning the approaches of the unions out there who want these folks to unionize. They are not unionized, even though there's all these protests going on and this action taking place.
All this stuff's going on without a union. I mean, I would say that there's a union. I would say that it's a union of thought as far as this guy coming back.
Oh, these people are definitely united under the ideological concept that
but
they
not
share.
not the concept of a labor union as we understand it today.
Correct. And we'll give you some more of their thoughts. That is the Market Basket employees on why they don't have a union, why they're not interested in one, apparently, here in a moment. Also, want to let you know about ExpressCoin. You go to expresscoin.com and you can buy Bitcoins, Dogecoin. You can also pick up now Litecoin, Blackcoin, and Darkcoin, all available through expresscoin.com. They make it easy, and they're focused on customer service so they can get your needs handled. In fact, you can pay for your Bitcoin in money order, check, wire transfer, or even cash deposit in certain banking institutions, specifically credit unions that have shared branching. And there's a lot of those. So you can go and do cash as well. Go to expresscoin.com, and you can even get it done from your smartphone by downloading their app at expresscoin.com. It's also now available in Canada. Market Basket has been just a fascinating experience to just watch this thing, and I have to admit I've yet to actually go down to the store. There are some people. I'm just not a Market Basket shopper. I don't get down that way, but there have been some people that we know here on the show who have gone down physically to meet some of these folks who are protesting outside of the stores, and apparently they're more than happy to talk to you. You come up, you get some questions.
I'd think so.
What's going on. In fact, they, from what I understand, have a petition, some of them, that they want their customers to sign, asking the customers to not shop there until the CEO is reinstated. And so we were giving you some of the kind of the viewpoints, at least the viewpoint of one guy, Steve Paulenka, former facilities and operations supervisor. He got the axe about 2 weekends ago by the new CEOs. There's now co-CEOs that have been hired by the board of directors to replace the original beloved CEO, Arthur T. DeMoulis. And the two co-CEOs came in and they took the axe to 8 upper-level management roles. This guy says, it's not our way of doing things, talking about joining a union. He says that we really take care of ourselves. We don't need a union. Fired grocery supervisor Tom Trainer, who'd worked at Market Basket for 41 years, shared that sentiment, saying unions likely see the unrest as an opportunity to get in and organize Market Basket workers. Teamsters Local 25, based in Charlestown and the largest Teamsters union in New England, yesterday said it would offer free legal help and advice to any Market Basket employee fired for, quote, standing up to present management in relation to the ongoing collective activity to bring back former CEO Arthur T. DeMoulis, unquote. But Market Basket employees' steadfast cohesiveness is unprecedented, according to the former employee, Mr. Trainer. He says, quote, we're top down, galvanized for one goal. There's no need for a union. It's not the workers against the management. It's everyone united to get Arthur T. DeMoulis back.
Aww.
It seems like the only people who are not united to get Arthur T. DeMoulis back are the board members who voted him off in the first place. The store employees and all the management levels are all, it seems like almost everyone. I mean, I'm sure there's dissenters. There must be a group, I don't know how large of a group it is. There's probably a group of people who didn't like Arthur T. DeMoulis, but I haven't seen any interviews with those folks, so they certainly aren't getting their word out.
It's also strange to me that the union wouldn't be at all interested. Like the Teamsters union. No, well, they're interested in unionizing, but they don't say that they're interested in getting the old CEO back. They're just saying, hey, we could offer you some help if you get fired. We can provide some legal services for you. But it's not like they're interested in getting the CEO back. They didn't mention that.
Well, they're kind of suggesting that they would help people who got fired in the hopes that the CEO was coming back. But yeah, they haven't taken a position on it, I guess.
It just sounds slimy. That's
Oh,
what
definitely. In fact, when word got out at a Friday rally at Market Basket headquarters that representatives of an unidentified union were passing out cards to protesting employees, it was Traynor, the former grocery supervisor, who responded, quote, "Really? Do you think we need a union?" The crowd responded with a resounding no. He continued saying, "There is no union in this country that's stronger than this crowd right here. So take your cards and go home."
Awesome.
Jeez.
So it's just so fascinating, all this unusual activity out there outside the Market Basket stores.
Yeah, there's one co-host of this program, Johnson, who was able to get some video at the local
That's right.
Market Basket. That has since been uploaded. Hopefully will be posted online so that folks can see it. But from what I viewed, completely empty shelves in some places. The areas that would be stocked with produce have firewood, just to keep
Wow.
something there. And I was surprised to see that fresh flower arrangements are still there, so they must be getting those in from somewhere else. But no employees to be seen on the floor. I mean, he walked around and did a full tour of the place, and there were no customers, and there were no employees.
Amazing. What a bizarre thing. And they all did get paychecks. So I've got actually an update here. This from BostonGlobe.com. It published today. So this is the state of Market Basket is what this is called. Just kind of bring people up to speed with some of the latest on the continuing controversy here. Last week, the latest story we brought you was that Arthur T. DeMollis, this beloved former CEO who was ousted about a month ago, he has now offered to buy the company.
Right,
So-
he's willing to put up his money. Hey, stop with all the board stuff.
Right.
Here's the money. I'll run this thing. You obviously don't know how, and still,
This guy is such a professional, I've never met him before, but to make a move like this seems like a really smart move. It seems really generous as well. Like, he's come forward and has supposedly offered at least what the company's worth, maybe even more than that. He described it as a very generous offer and a very fair offer. He's like, "Look, just sell the whole thing to me. I'll take care of this. You guys can go away, and you CEOs can go away on your golden parachute, and the board members can call it quits, and we'll take this thing over." And it would make it easy for the board, because right now the board's in this tough position of they've already hired these two co-CEOs. They've made these big changes, and they feel like they've got to stick with it, even though all of their employees are revolting.
So corporate. This Arthur T. guy, the good one who's offering to buy the company, he has something real at stake. He has his family pride. And how long has it been in his family? He wants to see this business succeed.
The other problem is the people who kicked him out are also they're all about their family pride, and that's why they kicked him out in the first place. So whether they'll take his offer is another question, but there have apparently also been some other offers made by other interested parties as well. We'll continue, though. More on the way. It's Free Talk Live. So, toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE. More on the fascinating story of Market Basket, the saga that has spanned decades and within the last 2 weeks has really boiled over. This is from BostonGlobe.com. It's a look at the state of Market Basket as the protest enters its second full week and the board considers offers to buy the $4.6 billion company. Number one, stores. All 71 Market Basket stores, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Maine, I didn't realize that, remain open, but the produce shelves are empty. Canned goods remain in stock. Frozen foods are largely available, but bread and bakery are being thrown out at some locations. I saw pictures on Facebook where they've got just, the bread crate things that you get multiple stocks of bread in. Anyway, they'd have those apparently out in the front of the stores right now, and they're just giving away all of their bakery items because, they're going to go bad at some point, I guess. They're just giving them away.
They were empty in the video that Johnson took. There was still a bakery, but it was completely empty.
Wow. So some locations and deliveries from the company's warehouses are sporadic. Stores can stay open indefinitely, though customers are sparse. Employees at the stores are reporting for work and being paid. At least they were last week. Associates who are not scheduled to work are staffing the picket lines outside the stores. That's not true from what I understand. There have been 2 people who've been told by the employees outside of the stores that they, in point of fact, are on the clock. One of the employees said something like, "I'm not supposed to tell you this, but." So the news media, at least according to what I've heard, has it wrong in that case. I mean, it's certainly probably true that some employees are showing up off the clock to picket as well, but many of those employees may actually be on the clock. The new executives that have been hired by the board fired 8 managers on Sunday, July 20th, but haven't taken any more action since. The board of directors issued a statement on Friday calling for, quote, normal business operations to resume immediately, unquote. Apparently, nobody really paid any attention to that because they're continuing the protests. Warehouse workers are reporting they're being shut out of their jobs.
I wonder what would happen if these managers that got fired, these 8 managers that got fired, just continue to come back to work.
I don't imagine they'd get paychecks.
No, apparently the people involved in this situation are so dedicated to it, it doesn't matter.
That's an interesting question. You know, with these managers, if it's only the board of directors who's taking the mean actions in this case, they wouldn't even know those guys were going to show up to work. So
it depends on how managery these managers are. Are they managers in the central office or what?
Yeah, good point. Warehouse workers are reporting they are being shut out of their jobs and replacement workers have been hired. A video shot Monday morning by a warehouse employee claims to depict a security guard saying that Market Basket employees are not allowed in the warehouse. So if that's true, that's an interesting development that's relatively fresh, that they may have hired some. Do you call them scabs if it's a non-union protest? I guess you would.
I guess not.
You wouldn't? No?
Well, I mean, scabs, this nasty union term.
Is scab, like, by definition, someone who's not a union worker? Or is it just somebody who breaks a protest line or breaks a picket line?
I don't know.
That's the classical term I've always heard it.
The latter? You mean?
Yes.
So social media. Let's see here. The organizers of the Market Basket protests aren't the most social media savvy bunch. The chain didn't even have a website until last week, and it's currently down. I remember that. I was actually looking online back when they were talking about Market Basket opening up, because the Market Basket here in Keene is relatively new, maybe 2 years old at this point. And I remember looking online and hearing about Market Basket. People were saying, oh, you guys have a Market Basket coming? That's great. And so I was like, well, what is this Market Basket all about? And I went online to try to find their prices because people were talking about how great the prices were. I figured, I'm going to go to their, look at their circular, get on their website. Look, they didn't have a website. I mean, what? I guess that's one of their cost-cutting measures or something like that. But it seemed like, hello? What century do we live in? How can you run a major grocery chain and not even have a website? I mean, I could understand if you didn't have the technology and like the IT division to not know how to make a PDF out of your weekly circular. I would give them that. Even if they just had a website where I could go to get store locations and hours.
Just something static. I mean,
Right.
you could just have a picture of the front of the building and the hours and phone number. That's all you would need for a website for a grocery store.
Very bizarre, and how strange that they would have happened to have finally launched a Market Basket website right when all of this started to go down, and now the site is offline. So there still is no website. Anyway, the protesters, however, have set up a Save Market Basket Facebook page that has attracted over 73,000 likes as of noon on Monday, and I believe that is noon today. Their website, wearemarketbasket.com, has the latest updates, which are also posted on Facebook. The Twitter account is less active at 800-some followers. Late last week, the organizers set up a fundraising page on GoFundMe, asking for Market Basket workers who are still getting paid to help support the warehouse workers and truck drivers. As of Monday, it had raised $40,661 from 708 donors, heading toward a goal of $100,000. It's now at $43,000. We are, quote, we are not asking our customers to help them out, though we would certainly be pleased if they did, said organizers on the site. We're looking for associates to help fellow associates who are standing alongside of each other. I mean, just a tremendous level of generosity there. I mean, obviously you don't know who the 708 people all are that contributed, how many of them are employees versus customers who decided to step up. But what an honorable thing to do. And again, all of this being done without a union. All of this organizing, the unions will have you believe that you need them for this kind of thing. Clearly you don't, and you don't need to pay the union dues either, because all this time you would have had to have been paying dues. There's more coming up. It's Free Talk Live. A little bit more here about the situation at Market Basket. It is a grocery chain in the Northeast, northern New England, actually, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Maine. I guess Massachusetts isn't northern New England, is it?
No.
Okay. Well,
Northern New England's basically Vermont, Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine.
so New England grocery chain that has been embroiled in family drama for decades, court decisions, two sides of a family fighting over things. Finally, one side gets in control and gives the axe to a longtime beloved CEO, Arthur T. DeMullis. The employees are on strike, basically. They are walking out, sort of, even though some of them are getting paid. Basically, the entire chain is supporting the reinstatement of this CEO, and that has resulted in some very unusual things happening, like employees protesting for a CEO.
What reason did the board give for firing this guy? Because obviously they've upset a lot of people, so they better have a good reason
That's
for
an
getting rid of
excellent
this guy.
question. I mean, I've read a lot about this case over the last week, and I didn't see any kind of statement about his firing.
Like, I would like to see the board step up and say, hey, guys, look, we're going to bat for you, the employees. We're looking out for your best interest. We fired
don't
this
believe
guy
it,
because
though.
there's something wrong.
They think the employees, or at least the perspective I've read, is that that this board wants to squeeze as much money out of the overhead of the company as possible, and they want to like get rid of, cut the paychecks of people, and they're afraid. Like the employees are afraid about what's coming because they've been
man.
treated so well by this CEO, and they don't think that the board has the same interests at heart.
Yeah.
I
So-
suspect they're right.
That's the summary of what I understand. Obviously, every employee is different, and some of them may have different opinions about this. But it is interesting to see, some of them are speaking out and saying, "Look, unions, stay away. We don't have any need for you here." They're pointing out they can organize on their own, and they are. They one of the points here from this 6-point article in Boston Globe shows that they've now raised $40,000, ostensibly from other employees. So they want to help the warehouse workers who've been laid off, truck drivers who are also, I guess, having a tough time. Rumor has it that the warehouse workers are being replaced by the corporate staff, like the CEOs are coming in and axing the people at the warehouses. So they've almost raised, half of their $100,000 goal here towards actually just giving some of this money to these employees. These are the employees who are organizing to help the other employees without the assistance of the unions. Protest number 4 here from this article, The State of Market Basket. Organizers have staged 3 major rallies, each bigger than the last, in 10 days. Friday's rally, which attracted 6,000 to 7,000 workers, customers, and family members, according to unofficial police estimates, was billed as our biggest and final rally, and no more actions are scheduled at the moment. So they've been going to the headquarters of Market Basket, where these CEO types will purportedly be seeing them when they come and leave from work, and they've been having huge numbers of people turn out for that. Number 5, the board of directors is scheduled to meet today at 6 o'clock by telephone to address the I bet that's because they don't want to meet in person and be, verbally assaulted by throngs of people who are less than happy with them.
Sure.
There could be a food fight.
There's plenty of old food sitting around right now. By telephone meeting to address the turmoil enveloping the grocery chain and the offer to purchase it from their ousted CEO, Arthur T. DeMullis, along with other offers it has subsequently received. They're under considerable pressure. The chain is losing as much as $10 million a day in sales and spoiled products because of the walkout and the boycott.
That's going to put a lot of pressure on the board.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was something I was saying last week, is these guys are hemorrhaging cash. I mean, if you've got employees standing around protesting and collecting paychecks with empty stores that still have their doors open and the power turned on, I mean, this has been a costly 2 weeks for Market Basket. I mean,
Yeah, I even wonder if Arthur S., the guy
Arthur
who the Arthur, yeah,
T-
the
Arthur S
one
is that guy.
Oh, okay. I wonder if Arthur T., the one the employees want back, would even support the employees and what they've been doing in these past few days. Like, what if he's like, well, I put that offer up before you guys were running these stock shelves empty. I don't want to buy this store now. You've ruined it.
Well, he hasn't spoken negatively towards them at this point. I feel
But how
like-
much cash can they hemorrhage
That's
before
the
he's
question.
like, I don't really want this anymore?
And how much cash can they hemorrhage before they bring in? I mean, if it's true that they're bringing in some, lack of a better term, scabs. Again, there's no union involved here, but people who are willing to sort of break the picket line to come in and go and work in these jobs where other people have walked out or have refused to work. you are essentially removing all of the expertise from your facilities.
Yeah.
I mean, if you blow out the entire warehouse staff and replace them, sure, you can replace them with others who will work for probably a little less, but at the same time, you have 0 years of experience then at that point. I mean, they had pointed out that some of the employees who'd been given the axe had a combined 600 years of experience working at Market Basket. So, how do you bring in a whole new crew when no one is there to train them
Right.
on how to do something? I mean, that's difficult.
The institutional memory, as it were.
That's a good term
It's
for it.
That's what you're losing there. These people know where the paper clips are. They know how things go. They know how to fill out the paperwork. They know where to file the paperwork. They know what how to use the computers, what the passwords are.
All of it.
This stuff is really important.
And it takes time. When you work I've worked in retail before. There's a learning curve. There's training involved. You've got to learn how to do stuff, run the cash register, or whatever your responsibilities are. But if no one's there who has any experience at doing anything, how can anyone get trained? Is the CEO from Radio Shack going to go in there and pick up the the employee handbook for the the freight room where they're throwing packages around and try to figure it out from scratch? I mean,
Not
that's just
likely.
not going to happen.
Yeah, it seems like a helium balloon that gets untied. It's just going to go all over the place until it runs out of steam. How long can this continue?
That's why this is so fascinating to watch, because it's amazing. So the board of directors, again, is supposed to meet today. They're under big pressure. The board's evaluating offers and will recommend a course of action, but ultimately the shareholders of the company will decide. Demoulas Market Basket is owned by the heirs of the founder, Arthur Demoulas, the original one. Of the 9 shareholders, 5 are aligned with grandson Arthur S. Demoulas' branch of the family, and 4 are aligned with the Arthur T. Demoulas branch of the family. Arthur T.
So what are the numbers? 5 and 4?
9 in total.
9? Okay,
5
and 4.
on the Arthur S side, 4 on the Arthur T side.
Wow, I didn't realize they were that split. So you just have to get one turned.
Yeah. Arthur T and his allies control 49.5%, and Arthur S and his allies control 50.5%. The shareholders will ultimately decide whether to sell their shares and to whom. So we'll keep you in the loop here as this continues to develop. It's an amazing situation. It's pretty unique, too, in a lot of ways. Share your thoughts. Toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. Is the Holocaust beginning? Derek J. has the answer coming up.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.